Hey guys, welcome back to another Mathin' with Coach Lynn. Today we're going to cover Lesson 3.4 and Lesson 3.5 in our Tennessee Reveal math book. Lesson 3.4, Divide Fractions by Fractions, states, I can apply what I previously learned about multiplication and division with whole numbers and the division of whole numbers by fractions to divide fractions by fractions. Our Learned section on page 175 tells us you can use visual models to represent division problems involving fractions such as a half divided by 1/3. We're going to draw a model to represent the dividend 1/2. So we have a whole box and now we've shaded half of it. Label groups of 1/3, then find the number of groups that 1/3 are in the shaded sections. So we now divided our box into thirds. We have 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. So we see that there's one whole third and part of another third, half of another third, shaded in this model. So 1/2 divided by 1/3 is 1.5. We can also solve this by doing our keep, change, flip method. So we can do 1/2 divided by 1/3. So we're going to keep, change it to multiplication, and flip our 1/3 to 3/1. Now we're just going to multiply 1 times 3, gives us 3, and 2 times 1, which is 2. So we have 3 halves. 2 can go into 3 one time. That'll leave us 1 left over, and our denominator of 2, so 1 and 1/2. Now let's look at example 1 on page 276. It says find 3/4 divided by 3/8. I'm going to jump on down to method 2 using the equation. We're going to use our keep, change, flip method. So 3/4 divided by 3/8 is the same as 3/4 times 8/3. Okay, and we can cross simplify. Since 3 and 3 are the same, we can change both of those to 1 as they done here. 1 and 1. And since 4 and 8 can both be divided by 4, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. Now we have 1/1 times 2/1. 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 1 is 1. So 2/1 or 2. So 3/4 divided by 3/8 is 2. Now let's look at our check problem that aligns with these concepts on page 177. Find 7/9 divided by 2/3. So we're going to keep, change, flip. So keep 7/9, change to multiplication, and flip 2/3 to 3/2. We can't cross simplify 7 and 2 because they have no common factor, but we can cross simplify 3 and 9 because they both can be divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now we'll just multiply. 7 times 1 is 7, and 3 times 2 is 6. So we have 7/6. Now we're just going to simplify it and go 6 can go into 7 one time. That'll leave us 1 left over and keep our denominator of 6. So 7/9 divided by 2/3 is 1 and 1/6. On example 2, we're going to find quotients of dividing fractions when it comes to word problems. This is Acai is making cookies. There is 5/6 pounds of sugar left in the canister. Each batch of cookies requires 1/4 pound of sugar. He wants to deliver one batch to each of his neighbors. How many neighbors will receive cookies? So, since he has 5/6 pounds total, and we're going to divide that into 1/4 pounds for each batch, we're going to do 5/6 divided by 1/4. And again, keep, change, flip. So instead of dividing by 1/4, we're going to multiply by 4 ones or 4 whole. We can cross simplify the 6 and the 4. They both are divisible by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then we have 5 times 2, which will give us 10. and 3 times 1, which is 3. So we have 10 thirds, which could be simplified. 3 can go into 10 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. That'll leave us 1 left over. And keep our denominator of 3, so 3 1/3. So he can deliver 3 batches of cookies to his neighbors. Now let's use this same concept to solve our check problem on page 178. It says Jasmine is mixing paint colors. She has 3/4 gallon of blue paint. She needs 1/6 gallon for each new color she is mixing. Write and solve an equation that models the situation, then interpret the quotient. So we know that she has 3/4 gallon of blue paint, and she's going to divide it into 1/6 of a gallon for every new color that she makes. So we're doing 3/4 divided by 1/6. Now in order to solve this problem, we're going to do keep, change, flip. So 3/4, change to multiplication, and flip to 6 wholes. Okay, we can cross simplify the 4 and the 6. 2 can go into both of those. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So we got 3 times 3, which is 9, and 2 times 1, which is 2. 2 can go into 9 4 times. 2 times 4 is 8. That'll leave us 1 left over. Keep our denominator of 2. So she can make 4.5 new colors. So she can make 4 new colors with the current amount of paint she has of 3/4 gallon. Now let's take dividing fractions by fractions and apply it to a real world problem on page 182. Stephanie's running schedule is shown in the table. She decides that she wants to do sprint training and will run the total distance by running a series of 1/10 mile sprints. How many more 1/10 mile sprints will she have to run on weekends compared to weekdays? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take what total distance she's going to run on weekdays versus weekends. We're going to divide that by the 1/10 mile sprints and figure out how many more sprints she's going to run on the weekends compared to the weekdays. So weekdays, she's going to run 2/3 of a mile. We know we're going to divide that by 1/10 mile sprints. And we're going to do keep, change, flip. So keep our 2/3. Change to multiplication and flip to 10 over 1. 2 times 10 is 20. And 3 times 1 is 3. 20 divided by 3. 3 can go into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. That's going to leave me with 2 left over out of my 3. Keeping my denominator. On the weekends, we're going to do 7/8 of a mile. She's going to divide that into 1/10 mile sprints. Again, keep, change, flip. 7/8, change to multiplication, and flip to 10 over 1. In this case, we can cross simplify 8 and 10. We can divide them both by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 8 divided by 2 is 4. 7 times 5 is 35. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 can go into 35 8 times. 4 times 8 is 32. That will leave us with 3 left over of the 4 that we need. So she will have to run at least 2 more 1/10 mile sprints on the weekends compared to weekdays. Now let's review some of our practice problems on page 183 together. Number 1 says 5/6 divided by 5/12. We know we're going to do keep, change, flip. We can cross simplify the 5s. 5 divided by 5 is 1 for both of these. Cross simplify the 6 and the 12. 6 can go into both. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. And 1 times 1 is 1. 2 over 1, which is the same as 2. Number 3, 3/7 divided by 1/14. We have keep, change, and flip. We can cross simplify our 7 and 14. 7 can go into both of those. 14 divided by 7 is 2. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. So 3/7 divided by 1/14 is 6. Now let's look at one of the word problems on this practice page. Number 5. Chelsea has 7/8 pounds of butter to make icing. Each batch of icing needs 1/4 pound of butter. Write and solve the equation that models the situation, then interpret the quotient. So we know that she has 7/8 pounds of butter, and she's going to need to divide that into 1/4 pounds for each batch of icing. In order to solve this problem, we're going to have to keep, change, flip. So 7/8 times 4/1. We can cross simplify the 4 and the 8. 4 can go into 4 one time and go to 8 twice. 7 times 1 is 7. 2 times 1 is 2. So we have 7 halves. 2 can go into 7 3 times. 2 times 3 is 6. That leaves 1 left over out of our 2. So we have 3.5 batches she can make. So she can make a total of 3 batches of icing. Now let's look at lesson 3.5 on page 185. Divide with whole and mixed numbers. I can apply what I previously learned about division and reciprocals to divide fractions by whole and mixed numbers. Dividing with whole and mixed numbers is very similar to what we've done in the past 2 lessons, so a lot of the concepts are the same. Example 1 on page 187 says Faye is making party favors. She's dividing 3/4 pounds of cashews into 12 packages. I'm going to skip by the models and go straight to the equation. So she's dividing 3/4 pounds into 12 packages. So 3/4 divided by 12. We're going to do keep, change, flip. We know 12 is the same as 12 over 1. So keep, change, multiplication to 1 over 12. So we can cross simplify our 3 and our 12. 3 can go into 3 one time. 3 can go into 12 4 times. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 4 is 16. So 3/4 divided by 12 is 1/16. And 1/16 pounds are going to be in each package that she makes. Now let's look at our check problem at the bottom of 188. Ernesto is making designs for classroom bulletin boards. He is cutting 3/4 yard of fabric into 6 pieces of the same length. Write and solve an equation to find the length of each piece of fabric. So he's taking 3/4 of a yard of fabric and he's cutting it into 6 pieces of the same length. So he's dividing it by 6. We know that's the same as 6 over 1. So keep, change, flip. 3/4 times 1/6. We can cross simplify the 3 and the 6. 3 can go to 3 once. 3 goes into 6 twice. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. So our answer is 1/8. So each piece of fabric will be 1/8 of a yard. Example 2 is dividing mixed numbers, and it tells us above that in the Learn section, dividing with mixed numbers is similar to dividing with fractions. To divide with mixed numbers, write the mixed number as a fraction and then divide as with fractions. So the first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to turn our mixed number into an improper fraction. So 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10. So 10 over 3. Divide it by 6, which we know is the same as 6 over 1. And then we're going to do keep, change, flip. So keep our 10/3, change to a multiplication, and flip from 6 over 1 to 1 over 6. From here we can cross simplify 10 and 6. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 6 divided by 2 is 3. And then we just multiply. 5 times 1 is 5. 3 times 3 is 9. So 3 1/3 divided by 6 is 5/9. We see this concept again on page 190. We have a check problem at the top from example 2. Find 2.5 divided by 3. So the first thing is we need to take this mixed number and turn it into an improper fraction. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5, so 5 over 2 divided by 3. But we're going to change and flip, so we know 3 is the same as 3 over 1. So we're going to flip it to 1 over 3. There's no simplification I can do on the front end. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 3 is 6. So 2.5 divided by 3 is 5/6. Example 3, we have 2 mixed numbers in the equation. So we're going to have to turn them both into improper fractions. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 2 is 14. We keep our denominator of 3. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. Keep our denominator of 4. Again, keep, change, and flip from 7/4 to 4/7. We can cross simplify the 14 and the 7. 7 goes into 14 2 times. 7 goes into 7 once. And now we just multiply. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 1 is 3. So we have 8/3. 3 can go into 8 2 times. That'll leave us with 2 left over of our 3. So 4 2/3 divided by 1 3/4 is 2 2/3. Look at our check problem at the bottom of page 190. Find 2 3/8 divided by 1 1/4. Write in its simplest form. So 2 3/8 as an improper fraction. 8 times 2 is 16. Plus 3 is 19. So 19 over 8 divided by 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. So 5/4. Keep, change, flip. So 19/8 times 4/5. I can do some cross simplification on the front end. 4 can go into both of these. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 19 times 1 is 19. 2 times 5 is 10. So I have 19/10. 10 can go into 19 one time with 9 left over of my 10. So 2 3/8 divided by 1 1/4 is 1 9/10. Now let's take what we've done so far and apply it to the real world scenario. On page 192, it says Miley has 35 3/4 yard of red ribbon and 30 1/3 yards of green ribbon. She cuts the red ribbon into strips that are 3 1/4 yards long and the green ribbon into strips that are 2 1/6 yards long. How many more green strips than red strips does she have? So the first thing we need to do is figure out how many strips she can make of each kind. So we know the red, that she has 35 3/4 yard total, and she's going to be cutting it into strips that are 3 1/4 yards long. So we're dividing it by 3 1/4. First thing we need to do is make these improper fractions. So 4 times 35 is 140, plus 3 is 143 over 4, divided by 4 times 3, which is 12, plus 1, 13 over 4. Now we're going to do keep, change, flip. So keep our 143 over 4, change to multiplication, and flip our 13/4 to 4/13. We can cross simplify the 4s. Both of them can change to a 1. 143 times 1 is 143. 1 times 13 is 13. Now we just need to figure out how many times 143 can be divided by 13 evenly. So 143 divided by 13 is going to give me 11. So she can make 11 red ribbons. Now how many green ribbons can she make? So we know we're taking 30 1/3 total yards of green ribbon, dividing it into 2 1/6 yards each strip. We're going to make these into an improper fraction. 3 times 30 is 90, plus 1 is 91 over 3, divided by 6 times 2, which is 12, plus 1 is 13 over 6. Now keep, change, flip. 91 over 3 times 6/13 instead of 13/6. Can cross simplify our 3 and our 6. 3 can go into 6 2 times, and 3 can go into 3 once. 91 times 2 is 182 over 1 times 13, which is 13. So 182 divided by 13 will give us 14 green ribbons. So she can make 3 more green than red. Now let's review a couple practice problems on page 193. Number 1 says the drama teacher is making bandanas for costumes. She is cutting a half yard of fabric into 6 bandanas of the same size. Write and solve an equation to find how much fabric there will be for each bandana. So we're taking a half a yard of fabric and we're dividing it by 6. Since they're making 6 bandanas of the same size, we know 6 is the same as 6 over 1. So we need to do keep, change, flip. So 1/2 times 1/6. 1 times 1 is 1. 6 times 2 is 12. So each bandana will require 1/12 yards of fabric. Number 3 says 2 4/5 divided by 4. First thing we need to do is turn 2 4/5 into an improper fraction. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14 over 5, divided by 4, which is the same as 4 over 1. Keep, change, flip. So 14/5 times 1/4. We can simplify the 4 and the 14, divide them both by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 7 times 1 is 7. 5 times 2 is 10. So 2 4/5 divided by 4 is 7/10. Number 7, 3 3/4 divided by 1 2/3. Turn them both into improper fractions to start. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15 over 4. Divided by 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5 over 3. Keep, change, flip. So 15/4 times 3/5. Cross simplify to start. Our 5 and our 15. 5 goes into 15 3 times. 5 goes into 5 once. 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 can go into 9 twice. 4 times 2 is 8. That'll leave us with 1 left over of our 4. So 3 3/4 divided by 1 2/3 is 2 1/4. Okay, guys, that's it for today, covering lesson 3, 4, and 3, 5 in our Tennessee Riverville math book. I hope the concepts we've covered throughout these 2 lessons is beneficial for you as we move forward and you continue to ace your assignments. Have a great day.